See, if you're anything like me, I'd like to believe that what happens in my life is unique, that what's happened in my life is only happened to me and never anybody else. But the truth and the fact of the matter is that our life is a lot of patterns and experiences that are seen across a lot of people's lives. It might not always look the exact same, but a lot of the underlying meaning, the message, and the things that happen to us are very consistent if we compare our experiences across people's lives. And so, what I found is that experiences and lessons and teachings from people that we admire and people that we respect can give us a lot of insight into how we can better live our lives. And so in today's episode, we're going to talk about my 3 lessons for living a better life, 3 things that I feel make my life better when I focus on these, when I implement these, and I'm here to share them with you. So let's get started. Lesson number 1, grow a little each day. Now, with each of the lessons, you're going to notice a theme. They're extremely simple and easy to digest. And the reason is because I want these lessons to be something that you would find in a kid's book, something that I can pass down to my kids where they can easily understand what I'm trying to say. And obviously, as they grow older and as I also gain more experience in my life, you see the additional meanings, you see the deeper philosophical reasons why it's good for you. And so they're meant to be simple, not meant to be complicated. But let's talk about number 1, grow a little each day. Now, I believe that when we're kids, we have this amazing ability to be curious, where we have this spark in our eyes. And what happens is, as we grow older, people tell us we can't do things. People tell us we're being, unrealistic, that we need to be realists, that we need to just, settle for whatever we can get our hands on. And I don't believe in that. I believe that, if you have the will and the ability and the determination, you can get pretty much anything you want out of life. True, you can't get everything, but you can get almost anything if you put focus, time, and energy into it. And so I think that with this aspect, the grow a little each day, it's not a quantitative metric. There is no end result. There is no reason and a way for doing it other than doing it by itself. And what I mean to say is, the point is it's qualitative. The point is just go through life with a little twinkle in your eye and great purpose in your heart. You have this smile on your face and you just learn something. You learn something new about someone you didn't know. You learn something new about someone you did know. You found this topic interesting and you did some research on it. You found a podcast or an article or you talked to AI about it. It doesn't really matter what the thing is, but just every day, challenge yourself to grow a little bit, to learn something new. Whether it's growing physically, mentally, financially, emotionally, spiritually, there's a little bit of growth each day and you can reflect each day and have that satisfaction of, today I grew a little bit. Today I became a little bit better than I was yesterday, right? Going off that Ernest Hemingway quote. And with this, I think that you have a little more peace, you have a little more tranquility, and you just enjoy life a little more because you enjoy the fact that it's unpredictable. You enjoy the fact that you can learn new things each day. And I think one of the great embodiments of this on a show or movie is the show of Ted Lasso. And I think he's one of those characters that he's a little unorthodox in many ways, but he has that twinkle in his eyes. And even when other people are negative or down or in despair, he has that kind of sparkle in his eye of just living life with a little bit of curiosity and asking those questions and just learning new things. And so that brings me on to life lesson number 2. And this is give before you take. Adam Grant, who is in the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania, had a great book on givers and takers. And he mentioned how givers were the outliers, how they were at the bottom of the rung in the ladder of career paths and also at the top. And, he gets into the details of this and he has really good comparisons on the effects of these things. But what I found in my life is that when you're a giver, other people's perception of you is a lot better. Because they always understand, hey, this guy's always trying to help out. He's trying to deliver value. He's always asking, how can I help? How can I be of service? How can I add value? And very quickly, that gains trust and builds confidence in the people that you have relationships in any capacity with. And the thing for me is, you want to be seen as someone who's a value add in situations, who's brought into conversations, who's brought into deals because you have that ask of always giving, right? Instead of asking, you're giving instead. And so you're focusing on providing value first before anything else. But I think one of the lesser known parts, and the reason that I truly believe this is a great thing to have, is how you see yourself, but also your reliance on others. You see, when you're a taker, you're approaching every situation from the frame of, what can I get out of this? I need to get something out of this. There's no value in the situation unless I take value from it. So you're coming every time from a scarcity angle, a zero sum game, winner takes all. One side wins is one side lose, right? You're approaching it from this shark mentality of, I have to take what they have. And so what happens is you're always focused on the outcome, right? If you don't come away on top of the negotiation, it's fail. If you don't win, it's a fail. And so you're always doing these win-lose situations. And obviously we talked about the reputational side of it, but speaking on the holistic side, you're dependent on the outcome. You need to win in order to feel like you are who you are. With the giver's mentality, you're giving before you're ever asking. That comes out of abundance, right? You don't give from scarcity, you give from abundance. And so when you give from abundance, what happens is, one, there's the reciprocity effect. So yeah, they're going to feel like they should give back. Some people will, some people won't, right? And then that's a good gauge for a different metric. But in this context, you're going to go through life with a little more peace, serenity, and calm because you're coming out of abundance. And you already gave without expectation. So now you're a little more relaxed when it comes to the fact of maybe they gave, maybe they didn't, but I've already given and I'm going to move on with my life. So you don't have as much anxiety and dependence on the outcomes of other people's decisions because you've already had peace with the decision that you've come to. And that's one of the great things about that second life lesson. Now, the third life lesson, and I actually have a bonus lesson, so we'll do 4. These are my 4 personal life lessons, or life laws, I call them. Fall 7 times, get up 8. It's a pretty simple and, repeated adage. It's not obviously original. And it's this idea of coming from Patrick Bet-David, which is, I think, a great line. And he has 4 O's for winning. You can either out-innovate, outsmart, or out-strategize your competition. But the 4th one is you can outwork. I think in life you can be first. Some people they bend the ethical rules and they cheat. Some people can be smarter. You can do any of those things. I would prefer you didn't cheat, but you can do whatever of those things you feel like aligns with your life. But I think that outworking and just the old nature of hard work and just doing laborious tasks, I think speaks a lot to the character of a person. And I think that if there's anything that you want out of life, you have to be persistent enough to go after it. And the point is that life is designed to create setbacks to make you stronger, to build you and to build your character by testing you, by hurting you, by pushing you down. And I think that a true measure of someone's resilience is that resilience. It's how many times can they bounce back from adversity. And I think that if you go through life expecting handouts and having this entitlement to a life without troubles, not only you're going to be severely disappointed, but you're also going to hate your life with all the struggles that do happen. But if you're someone that's excited about the struggles, that can't wait to see what they'll become in the midst of a challenge, you're never going to lose because every challenge only makes you better. And when you get better, you're more equipped to deal with bigger challenges. And when you get the bigger challenges, then you deal with those. And it's this ever-ending cycle of getting better, getting better, getting better. And so I think that you have to have the determination and persistence to look life in the eye and get up after every single punch. And I think that when you can do that, you'll truly live a life that you honestly absolutely love and respect and admire the character that you've built for yourself because you've decided and been willing to go through so much trouble and adversity. And that brings us on to number 8. Your words become your world. Now, I am a firm believer in what you say and what that actually means. The self-reputation that you have with yourself on the promises that you make to yourself and others. It's the yeses and nos to the decisions that you've made. I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow. Do you go to the gym? No. I'm not going to eat that tomorrow. Did you eat it? Yes. How many times are you saying something yet not following through? And I'm not just talking about deals and promises and words that you give to other people, which are very important. But fundamentally to yourself, do you even have the self-respect? Because you keep promises to yourself, or are you constantly breaking them? And so I think that you have to be careful with what you say, because if you don't mean it, you shouldn't be saying it. And just because you mean it doesn't mean you have to say it. But I think that when you say something, you should truly mean it. And people should know that you're going to do the thing that you say. I think there should be that consistency and that congruency between your character and your words and your actions. And I think there's something else with that. I think that your words do become your world because the story that you tell yourself is also everything. yes, we talked about, keeping your words and the promises and that self-respect, but also the fact is when situations happen, what exactly do you tell yourself, right? When you get a challenge, do you go through a victim mentality? Are the words around you being a victim, being a kind of effect of all these causes where you can't do anything about it? Or do you take responsibility? Do you say, okay, this happened, now I'm going to get to work about it? Because I truly believe the way you frame situations will drastically shape whether you love your life or hate your life, or whether you see challenges as adventures or challenges as, being cursed or having a terrible life. And so I think that you have to know how to craft your words to frame life in a way that's exciting and makes sense to you. And I also think that when you fail, when you make mistakes, which happens to all of us, the way you speak to yourself, right? Can you criticize yourself without making it personal? Can you criticize yourself without focusing on the blame and rather focusing on the solution? And I think that when you get to that point, you save yourself not only a whole lot of pain and suffering, but you actually start solving problems in your life a lot faster. Because rather than focusing on who's to blame, you're focused on how are we going to get out of this? That's my 4 life lessons. Those are my 4 life laws that I look to live my life by every single day. So I appreciate you tuning into today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe down below. We also have the new Substack where all newsletters and blogs will be posted from now on. So I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. But until next time, keep optimizing your human experience.